Hello. You're listening in to What Do I Know with me, Joanne Peh, where I continue to find answers to what I do not know. And today's topic is a really challenging one because it's all about the metaverse. I didn't think I need to know anything about the metaverse until I decided to have this pre-call chat with my guest today. My guest today is Bell Beh. She's a lawyer turned entrepreneur, a co-founder and a CEO of one of Singapore's top AR companies, BuzzAR. You might have heard of them. It started as an immersive tech company and is now poised to be Southeast Asia's first metaverse setup that has scaled online gaming, virtual reality, augmented reality, and much, much more. If you're watching the YouTube version, you can tell that I'm reading off my cue card because this is really quite a difficult topic for me. So I think we should just dive right into the conversation and speak with Bell. Hi, Bell.
Yeah. Hi, Joanne. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time to do this. The metaverse has always been very elusive to me. I've heard so much about it, don't really know what it is about, don't think I should care about it. But as with what we want to do with this podcast, it is to learn more and to challenge what is difficult. And this is a really difficult topic for me. So I think we got to start by kind of defining what is the metaverse. Also for my listeners and viewers who also might be at the same stage of understanding as I am.
You will be surprised. Some are really savvy.
Yes.
Overall, metaverse it just means that it's an extensive online world
Okay.
where people dial in via their digital avatar, or like. But our differentiation is that we believe in the real world applications first metaverse, or offline first metaverse, where we incorporate the offline elements, the bricks and mortar, for example, to really give them a metaverse strategy so they can prepare themselves and get benefited from this wave.
In a very simple layman term, metaverse is a virtual world, right? But then I think you also did mention to me during our pre-call that it needs to fulfill certain criteria. What are those criteria?
Yeah, it needs to fulfill 3 criteria. First is immersive. Second is interoperable. And last but not least, it has to be persistent.
Okay, we probably have to define this also for the audience. Immersive, I guess it's quite easily understood, right? The whole experience of being in that world that could be created or experienced through the form of goggles, right? Did I miss out on what that could mean, immersive?
Depending on who is the person, right? We think that the metaverse right now is not fully shaped yet.
Okay.
So whether we need the goggles or not is questionable. Yeah, but immersive, it simply also means that you are being put in an environment that usually you just can't really feel it, like if you are in this kind of physical world. It's a completely different and also the senses are all being triggered. Is a really brilliant environment, therefore why the metaverse is even famous.
Okay, so that's the first definition. The second definition is interoperable. So what does interoperable mean?
Oh yeah, my favorite. So yeah, so we have fashion brands that come to us, right? They want to virtualize their physical goods, and we give them a second life by virtualizing 30 to 50 of their physical goods. We turn them and give them a second life, and right now they can remarket not only their physical goods but also the virtual goods that we have created, which is a replica of the physical good. And right now, let's say this fashion brand, let's say a sneaker, a pair of sneaker, a player can travel from virtual world A to virtual world B to virtual world C using the same pair of sneaker.
I see. That doesn't happen now yet, right? Because as of now, you in virtual A, you have to sort of create an account and log in virtual A. And then if you want to go to virtual B, you actually have to create another account and log in and go to virtual B. So you can't really travel from virtual A to B, right? I mean, not to even mention wearing the same pair of sneakers from A to B, right? As your avatar can't even travel. You got to create two separate avatars, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that is the ideal
The ideal, yeah.
for a metaverse to exist, which is then that would mean you don't, you just have one account and then you can just use this one account, one avatar to go to all the worlds, right? If
Ideally.
by by the
Ideally.
meaning of interoperable.
Yeah, ideally.
Okay. And then the last one is persistent. Okay, so what does persistent mean?
Yeah, it means that a player, right, when they, let's say, participate in a game, they leave something, let's say they leave a feedback on the AR billboard. And when they finish the game, let's say they end the game, the same information, the same feedback that was left on the AR billboard will still be seen by another players, and it will not be removed.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That means the information is never removed and every player can see the same information. It's persistent.
Okay. And that also could mean that even after you leave the game, the world continues, right? Like if it's day right now, when you left the game, actually the game will continue tonight. And then tomorrow when you log in again, it's actually day 2 already in that world, right?
Yeah, it goes on and on.
Okay, so for these three things, in order for the metaverse to qualify as a metaverse, these 3 criteria has to be fulfilled. But obviously, I think one of it, interoperable, is not yet quite there yet.
Yeah.
But then we still hear this term a lot.
Yeah.
So what is it?
Yeah. Because interoperable is a really hard one because it involves a lot of power struggle. You are asking, let's say, virtual world A to give up their power, if you think about it deep down, to virtual world B or virtual world C, such that everyone can just roam around all these virtual worlds. When you have like power and also authority, resources, all is involved, it's going to be tough for anyone to just give up that power, and hence interoperability is not yet there.
So since we haven't quite achieved the metaverse for what it's supposed to be yet, I guess the real ideal way of the metaverse would probably be years and years away. Why does it matter? Why do we need the metaverse?
Yeah. I think it involves the human needs is because as a whole, right now, we have evolved such a way that if you just give them a product, it will never be good enough, because humans, even human is very complex. So we really reach a point that we demand a lot more. Like we need a lot more sensors to be triggered, for example, to satisfy, to fulfill human needs as a whole. Yeah.
I mean, the way I look at it, I think it's like back in the day, right? We can get from one place to another by walking. And it's okay, we can do fine, we can live well, we survive. But then along the way we realize we need something faster, right? Then we start developing wheels, we use animals to help us, and then after that we realize, hey, we can move even faster. Then we have steam powered, we have all these different automobile transportations that gets invented. And then now, of course, from petrol cars, now we have electric cars. We talk about efficiency and all that. So the way I look at it, it's like, it's part of that human need to evolve and to progress. And with progression, it comes new things that could be unimaginable for that particular group of people at that point in time.
Yeah.
But it's the future. So in a way, whether I like it or not, as much as I fear the metaverse and what it brings and my unfamiliarity with this whole topic, I think we still need to care about it. Because it sounds from what you're describing that it is the future. And it does look like quite an attractive future as well. One of the things that you talked about during our pre-call was that I really liked was the fact that you are not looking to replace the real world with the metaverse, because that's also a big concern. And that was the first thing that actually worries me when people was telling me about metaverse. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I go into this fake, or no, I shouldn't say fake, but I go into this make-believe world, then I make friends there, I buy houses. It's not real. Then what about the real life, experience of sitting down with you and chatting and, and the touch points and all that? Like, I don't want this to go, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we started off that way, right? So we started off by building a complete digital environment where people dial in to play games. But as soon as I sort of like, so I earned my way, right? I became a co-founder of the company. Then I told my co-founder, I said, look, we are not going to do that easy way. We are going to bring in real world applications to this, whatever, like the virtual world that you are building. We are going to make sure that real world application first, offline first elements are in our metaverse. And I think that there are not enough people doing it. So I'm glad that you start speaking about this.
Okay, before we go there, I guess we probably also need to understand a little bit about what got you interested in the metaverse.
So I first went to UC Berkeley to take like a master's program. Then I told my dad.
In what?
In law and technology.
Oh.
Then I told my dad, no, I'm not like resigning all this thing to play games, but rather I study, because my dad likes to hear all this all this like studying and all this like so yeah, that's how I sort of like escaped, and I went to the US. So then I study law and technology. The law portion I took privacy law, blockchain, because that was like the hottest topics back then. Then the technology portion, that was AR, VR, blockchain as well, because blockchain is in between both. Yeah. Then that's how I sort of like started my own company, BuzzAR. 4 years, and right now, look at me, 4 years
with
plus
Ken.
later.
I mean, you just started with playing his games.
Yeah. So by that was like about 2015, right? I played the game for like about 3 years plus. Worked for him shamelessly as his VR model. Until today, whenever I look at that video, right, I'm like seriously ashamed, because a little bit of mixed feeling. On one part, I'm shameless. On another part, I said, please don't show me that video.
Oh, what is this VR video model thing?
Oh, okay. Because back then, right, he told me all his audience is like female. Then, like, they are like those, mostly are like those ladies probably in 40s. Okay. Then he thinks that I'm quite suitable to be the model. Then I was like happy. I thought like I must be pretty that he invited me to be the model.
Okay.
Then it turns out that he said, no, because you look very friendly, like approachable to the ladies, like his female audience. I'm like, this is not what I want to hear.
So what did you do as a model?
Oh, so I sort of like have to show it's almost like the YouTuber right now. A lot of people, they play games, demonstrate their experience. Then people will sort of like watch them, right? But back then it's more like I just play the games. So I show from a user point of view how to cook, how to compete.
Play the game. Oh,
yeah.
I see.
That was like back in 2015 we have done that.
So you knocked on his door?
Oh, so he...
Because you said you were just a player, and then how did you get in touch with him?
Yeah. Luckily, I mean, to give a really full story, was that when I wanted to sort of like... At first, it's just about play games, and he's my childhood friend.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And the best part about this childhood friend, I was very curious, because he sort of like don't need to work, but he's like almost like the most successful one among our circle. And I was like, hey, Aping, you should go and, find out your cousin, your best friend. Like, that was my cousin, Aping. Then only he showed us this game that he's developing. Then I I volunteered. I said, I want to learn about this, and in turn, I can work for you for free. That's how I got into this. So daytime, I was like a lawyer, but evening or like weekends, I work for Ken for free for 3 years.
Okay, so that was when you were playing and working for him at the same time.
Yeah.
Before you even decided that you're just going to quit your day job and go into this full time.
Back then, I mean, I was just curious. I never thought that I would really go and resign. And even when I wanted to resign, right, I took such a calculated risk that I have to first go and sign up a master's program. Then only, plus keep another 18 months of salary in order to sort of like resign and do all this, because I know that startup is so prone to failures.
But then, for you to that push, right? That thing that pushed you from deciding, okay, I'm just gonna do this. What was it?
Because it doesn't gel with my personality.
What, you mean law?
As in, like, because as a lawyer, right, people expect you to be very
Perfect.
like perfect. That's one. Secondly, like, you have to put a poker face most of the time. Depending on settings, I'm not saying every firm is like that. Depending on which companies as well, but generally you have to behave in a very professional way. I'm not saying like I'm not professional, but I cannot put a poker face like just throughout the whole 12 hours. I really want to embrace who I am as a person, because life is very short. I just keep putting that poker face, and then what? Then next thing 55. And next thing I'm going to die soon. So I don't want that. I don't want that regret. And I was like questioning myself, what if I fail, right? If I start this, then I fail. It's okay. Worst case scenario, because as a kid, I came from a really humble background, born and raised in Malaysia, in fact, in a really small town called Sungai Petani. So I really just want to be the best version of myself, right? And I was like questioning myself, if I stick to my own mission, that means I should be bold. That means I should make a change. And yeah, it was a journey where I was the first one to attend university in my whole of family history. So I want to push our DNA such that the next generation will believe that they can do better, because Bell has reached this level and they can push further. I want them to be really their best version of themselves. This is why I do what I do right now.
So you decided to quit being a lawyer to go into this full time, and then you talked about how it has, the push factor was really you were not able to be yourself, the person whom you are. Has this whole gaming experience allowed you to sort of accept and come to terms with who you are?
Gaming, right? I must say, like it or not, today we live in two different worlds. So the first world is our day-to-day, like yourself, 大明星美女. Then another world is where we have like yourself, like with your family, probably
Your
like
private self.
your private self, and you can chill. So yeah, so like it or not, gaming have just really polarized these two worlds even more. And personally, I think that when I like play games, I get to be myself. Yeah.
Very interesting. So you're saying you don't get to be yourself in a private setting with your family and friends?
In a private setting, yes, as well. But through gaming, it just gives you another perspective lah. But imagine today if you dial in with your avatar and I dial in with my avatar, there will not be, it will instantly, we will be friend.
Okay.
Because you are comfortable, like you have your own privacy with your avatar, I have my own avatar. So then from there, we develop some sort of a relationship. Then from there, probably we can meet in person something like that. So gaming, it has some use cases that, in fact, one of my friend got married through playing games, both of them.
Oh, wow, that's very a different way of dating actually in that sense. So if we come back to talk about the metaverse, one of the advantages of it would be, as you said, it allows you to boost your confidence, right? Because you are, even I think if I think about it, even for myself, if I'm one of those public figures who are a little bit who have to be conscious of how I am because of certain things that I say might have an impact on other people and all that. I would be a bit more guarded, or I could be a bit more careful with how I carry myself. But then in the gaming world, I could just let loose and be who I want to be. And in the same way, I guess, for someone like who is not in the public under the public scrutiny, they could also feel that easier accessibility to like a public figure or celebrity or whoever in that metaverse space, right? Since you're talking about the benefits of gaming, what are some of the other advantages of the metaverse?
Yeah. So we have enterprise companies that came to us to they wanted to build their own metaverses. The obvious one is also involving the fact that they can increase their productivity. How is, for example, like right now, they don't need to fly in like, let's say 700 people to Singapore and spend hell a lot of money to really do that kind of like meetings. Right now, imagine we can just open our laptop and, everyone, or like wear your goggles or whichever way that you prefer. Then we can just have like a meeting through, like, for example, Horizon World, VR Chat. There are so many platforms out there. Oh my gosh, I kept promoting all other names. But yeah, so it's the productivity, efficiency that Metaverse can bring to the world.
I think it can be quite cool when you wear a pair of thing and then I turn around and I see like George Clooney is next to me. Like, wow. I mean, that's kind of like what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Being in the same space, wearing goggles. Like you don't need to fly George Clooney here, but then, you still can experience what it's like to be with him. Or, I mean, in that setting.
So I find joy in seeing like the Metaverse applications that we have developed. People giggle, people can be very comfortable with who they are. So I kept showing like a lady that did this face to avatar experience, the pop-up metaverse experience at Scape, right? She laughs so so loud, and she just don't care about anyone. Then she get her avatars in real time, in real life, right? This is what exactly metaverse can provide. It sparks joy. At the same time, it gives people that kind of a different, a novel experience. This was first made sort of like debut at London Tech Week. So Deputy Prime Minister DPM Heng, right? he was almost the first few that have generated his avatars, and he was like, "Oh, you make me look so young." So it's really all these little things that people experience, then they giggle, they laugh. All this experience really like energize me to do what I'm doing right now.
Okay. Any other benefits of the metaverse that you think you can share?
There were also cases where I talked to those Scape teenagers, for example. They really get to be themselves when they are in the metaverse, and also the fact that they get to express themselves. Right now, a lot of our users, right, all this UGC that they have created, they want to see themselves like appear on a big billboard. And our experience, we allowed them to do that. So we want to sort of like pioneer the Buzz of the Week, which is we allow everyone, like every week, we will receive like some submissions, like all this experience. Some of them, whichever that we find it like the most creative and also the most authentic, we will show them on the big billboards, like our partners' billboard mainly. We allowed them to express themselves in a way that, because usually, right, if you are just a normal user, you don't get to express yourself. But all these little things, we allow them to appear on our partner big billboards, and they can have like a short session to share with the world what is their aspiration, what is their passion, but in the avatar form.
Oh,
Mm.
okay. So how do they do that? Do they have to use an app or, you know,
Yeah.
how?
So right now, pop-up metaverse, we are like scaling from right now is about 15 island-wide in Singapore, and we are scaling to about 100 of them. So all these people, they don't even need to do much. They just need to stand in front of a screen. Then they get their avatar. So then after that, if they are really into this experience, right, then they can scan a QR code. They will get their digital photo sent straight to their WhatsApp. Then after that, they can, depending on what they want, they can even capture the whole experience and send it to us, because all our email addresses, all our WhatsApp account, it's linked, right? So yeah, they can then once they send to us, we will review on a weekly basis, and we will choose the most innovative one to feature. So I'm really looking forward
So
to
does
this.
this mean that if I stand in front of the screen, the camera captures me and then my avatar is shown on the screen? So this avatar can be sent to my phone.
Yeah.
But can I then turn on my phone and then like the camera would show me as my avatar, and then when I do this, my avatar moves along with me?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
So we are sort of like rolling out a mobile app. It is a continuous product, like as compared to this current hardware version, right? The pop-up metaverse is just step one. So step two, we will have a mobile app that allowed them to alter themselves. Like some of them, they get like, for example, I don't know, like blue color hair. They don't like, or like they like green color, let's say. Then they can go and alter their hair. They can dress up the virtual goods. Then they get to express themselves in a very unique way that might be very different from some of their peers. And based on how they decorate themselves, right, we will feature some of those people. Yeah, so the mobile app is coming sometime in Christmas.
Oh, okay. We also do, I mean, from what I'm hearing, I mean, metaverse sounds great, but as with anything that's good, there can also be implications, right? So what are some of the implications that we could be facing with the metaverse?
Yeah, a few. Okay. First thing is right now a lot of people also talk about the privacy issue. Yeah. So the privacy issue is interesting that we are right now this under part of the PDPC IMDA program, in fact supported by Meta. We work on the consent in the metaverse. So we allow people, like for example using thumbs up, they can get their digital photo because our computer vision will pick it up, right? Then using like a OK sign, they can delete their photo. So we don't keep that deleted photo. So that's one. So I think as the privacy concern continue to arise, technology company has to evolve with it. And I think for our kind of company, it's really good to have a lawyer to do this, because I'm super aware of what's going on, and probably can execute it slightly better due to familiarity. Yeah. Secondly, is also the fact that a lot of parents, right, they are worried about addictions. Like just kept going in to play games for like 6 hours, 8 hours, right? The concern is real.
And I mean, for me personally, I've been also very worried about child predators, sexual harassment, not knowing how to use. I mean, already as it is with the internet, right? A lot of young people may not know how to use it responsibly. What more the metaverse, where everything as of now is still at its very initial stages. There are no policing in place yet, simply because I suppose nobody knows what is going to happen yet, right? And so that's really one of my biggest concern about the metaverse.
Right. I hear you. So I think, to be fair, when we participated in the program, right, you will be surprised. The governments, I mean, as in they are extremely progressive, and they are also learning like how all this data can affect each other and how they can mitigate the risk, even including like putting all these companies, like technology companies like us, to enroll into this kind of program. It is one of the efforts as well that they are trying to police. So it's really quite interesting to see that the whole industry is evolving. And as parents, maybe you can set a framework for your kids, but not really to restrict them. Like you can't go and play games and all that. Yeah, maybe a framework is good.
I think as I'm thinking about this, right, like as with anything new, and I talk about this fear of sexual harassment and child predators and all that, when you enter the metaverse and at this point when you say you can do anything you want, I mean, I'm just imagining the worst case scenario, like your avatar is just stripping in front of you, you know, and all that, you know, you don't know how to control it. And as someone who is not aware, you know, especially if the young people are using it and then they enter and they see something like that, and then, you know, it becomes, it can be a real problem. I think as with some of the apps, I think even with TikTok as well, I think when they came up and there were a lot of people who use it for, you know, that kind of a purpose, but then as along the way they start to implement certain rules, or they start to implement certain what's the word, like bots or something, to sort of, the moment they detect certain kind of image or certain kind of words, they kind of block you, so you don't get seen. I think it's things like that if we have all these measures in place to protect the community in the metaverse, then I think it can be something very powerful, right, for the next generation to experience. Having said that, I think this other part that you're talking about, which is how can we talk to our children about it, right? How can we prevent the addiction? Because this is the biggest fear that we all have, that the youths are turning to this make-believe world because they can be who they want, they can express who they themselves, and suddenly this world becomes more attractive than the real world, right? Maybe in this world I'm like a big brother, you know, like I've got a lot of like 兄弟, you know, I've got a lot of people who look up to me, but maybe in my real life I'm someone who's bullied and people don't really sort of even notice my existence. And that can be very addictive because, you know, I want to feel that sense of power. And then they start going and spending too much time there. So what was your experience like as a child also playing? Because you said that you also play games, and then you also mentioned that your father likes to hear you say that you're studying. So what was it like in your family for yourself growing up?
Yeah, for myself, because they were separated, then for us it was like the case. I don't know, like, to be honest, like, because growing up in Malaysia, not too much rules, I must say. They set a framework, like, so long as you pass this like these subjects and all that, they almost allowed me to do almost anything. And you know, the interesting part, when your parents allow you to do so much, right, I don't feel like really go and do the bad things. And also when they set the framework and all that, I realized even my parents are separated, my dad will educate me, like will bring me along to some of his business meetings. And when I join his business meetings, right, I get very inspired. Like even from a very young age, right? I want to run a business. Like, you know, even back then, of course, my dad will not agree because my dad think that, oh, business is bad, very dangerous for a lady, for my daughter. But yeah, you know what? As parents, if you lead by example, you will notice that the kids actually follow. And if you set a framework not to go so in detail to restrict them too much, the kids will not be so rebellious. Yeah, it is the reverse that works.
You must have also grown up in quite a loving environment. I think you also received enough attention and love from your father or
Yeah.
your siblings. You have siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother. So I think overall, it's also the kid's motivation. I would say all this, it links back to what the kid really want to do. I don't have kids yet, but I can imagine like sometimes it's about empowering like our kids, empowering them to be who they want to be. And also another perspective is that it doesn't mean that your kids, right, go and play games. That means they are doing something bad. Sometimes this era, right, 2022 or like 2030, a lot of new occupations has arrived. So it doesn't mean that the kid keep going and play games. That means equals to not good. Look at all the unicorns. A lot of them like Razer, whoever, they are all also they also train themselves from playing games as well. Then somehow it turns right. For myself, I'm still learning, but I think that allowing them to be who they want to be and set a high level framework is important.
So what would you say is your responsibility as a tech founder?
It's almost like the sentence, right? If I can't beat them, I will join them. I foresee I'm like really taking the last train to join them. And I foresee that if we just ignore and don't learn about the metaverse, for example, it will not help us as a person, as a mother, or like as a human being, like in your society, because it's a lack of knowledge that causes all these confusions and also all these negative actions. So I think as a tech founder, I will take full responsibilities. In fact, I wrote my own privacy policy terms of service for all our offerings. Of course, down the road, I may also make mistakes, but I will take full responsibilities of even all my mistakes, and I want to do it right. Therefore, why we even bother to spend some time with the government agencies to go and iron out the consent in the metaverse, right? While this is all like works in progress, but I would encourage anyone that is in the same industry to do so.
So what sort of people are you looking to attract into your industry?
Not yourself.
Huh? I'm like so clueless about gaming and technology.
No, you have a following, because after all, you are like a lot of people's role model. That's a fact. You probably have to recognize that. And even for example, like your social media, you have a large following. So I would like to attract the influential people and put the skeptical, all the your negative thoughts about the metaverse away first, and listen to founders like us, that we are doing real world applications. We bring real value to, let's say, like venues, brands, events. We bring real applications and not to just because a lot of them, they think that metaverse equals to scam. So it's quite unfortunate that way. So I really hope to remove this myth, misconception, and I hope to attract talented people like yourself. For real.
I think one of the things that struck me about what you said during our pre-chat was that you're not looking to replace the real world. You are looking to enhance it, which is also the reason why you work so hard to not create an entirely virtual world. Right? Maybe you want to elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah. Because I can understand why a technology founder, they want to build a complete virtual world. To build a complete virtual world is easier. We started that way. We didn't started straight away go and incorporate a shopping mall to our applications. as much as founders, we have to make profits. I really want to do it another way. So I think that this current world that we are living in needs a lot of attention. Therefore, what we do is we allow venues, brands, events to have a second life. We remarket their product using a metaverse strategy. And we are not replacing them for sure. We just give them a second life that they can even boost purchases, get sales by collaborating with platforms like us. And we have the liberty to go and build a complete virtual world. But we are having such a operational headaches and also all these crazy thoughts, right? To really go and talk with like malls, venues. It's hard. It's damn hard because like approvals after approvals, they will tell you no most of the time. And yet we take all this hardship and all these challenges, we just focus on the outcome. We want the real world to exist in the metaverse. And so long as I'm in the company, I will make sure real world application, offline first approach.
Well said. Now, where can our listeners and viewers find you then?
Oh, my name is Bell Beh. So it's a jingle bell BEH. So just find me on LinkedIn. I'm most active there.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me today, Belle.
Thank you. Thanks.
I hope we've given you a brief idea of what the metaverse is, because honestly, there's so much literature that's surrounding this topic. If you've got any questions or if you've got any comments to add to what we've said today, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, if you don't want to miss a single episode, remember to hit subscribe. And if you like what we chat about, also give us a thumbs up. An audio version of this podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Stay tuned to my next episode, and I'll see you then. Bye.